Prime Ministries.
5:30 p.m. and it's family time.
Welcome. This is Family Time. Good evening to you all. I know you may be listening in the car. You're probably at home on the radio, or you could be on Facebook, or you could be on YouTube Live. And we are just happy that you decided to join us this evening. Family Time is about your issues and your relationships. It is about your at-home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us, and please connect with us via all the different platforms that we mentioned a while ago. You can friend us on Facebook at FLM-Family Life Ministries. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Family Life Ministries-FLMJA. And on Instagram, you can keep up with what's happening. And on Instagram, it is simply FLMJA. Now, I must remind you that even though Family Time is a family program, we like to caution that it may on the odd occasion touch on what some people may consider mature subject matters. And so we're going to ask you to exercise your discretion. And if there are youngsters around, children around, just be sure to give them a little word of advice if something comes up, all right? My name is Roland Gale, and we know that as school gates reopened across Jamaica and the Caribbean, families would have to navigate new routines, emotional transitions, and everyday health decisions. In our show today, a social worker and a public health nutritionist are going to join us to explore how children's minds and bodies adjust during the back-to-school season. We're going to unpack some of the emotional ups and downs. We're going to talk about the power of nutrition and the tools that families can use to support children all year long. Join us as we discuss the topic today, back to school, back to wellness. We also want to answer your questions on this topic. All right? And so this is what we want you to do. Send us some responses. YouTube, Facebook, you can call them in. Use WhatsApp. Here's what we're going to ask you to do. Tell us, how do you make the shift from summer holidays to school time structure with your children? And you can send the answers via WhatsApp text, and the number is 9973125. And you can also send us voice notes. And if you're going to send a voice note, we ask you to keep it shorter than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines, 968-8327 or 968-8328. And you can watch and comment live on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. Get your questions ready. We want to hear from you. And we're going to have our special guests, Rochelle Clark, who is a clinical social worker and mental health provider. And we also have with us Alicia Barrett, who is a nutrition educator. You're listening to Family Time on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Roland, tonight. And wherever you are in the world, we're glad you joined us. And we ask you to stay with us. We'll soon come back, going for a break.
What does peace look like in the middle of pressure? Where do you find rest when the world won't slow down? Tuesday, September 16, on The Rock, we dive into Psalm 4, a powerful blend of prayer, trust, and truth. Join guests Pastor Diane Hansen and Dr. Joel Freeman as they explore how this short psalm speaks to the depth of our daily struggles and the strength of God's grace, God's peace amid chaos, choosing faith over fleeting success, the call to self-control, trusting God's justice, and so much more. Plus, spotlight on scripture. Daniel Dodd picks a single verse, just one, and challenges us to unpack its meaning in just a few minutes. What will he choose this week? All this and more on The Rock, Tuesday, September 16 at 10 a.m. here on the Family Station, Love 101.
Welcome back. You're listening to Family Time on Love 101 FM, and welcome to our very special guests tonight. I have with me Rochelle Clark, clinical social worker and mental health provider. Hello, Rochelle. How are you? Am I saying your name right? Okay, I can't hear you. I don't know if you have your mic muted. Maybe, I don't know. And then, okay, I'm not hearing you, but maybe you can hear me fine. And so I'm going to ask Alicia if she is on as well. Alicia, are you on? I know your mic is muted, but I'm going to ask you to unmute it for a minute and just tell us hello. Hi, Alicia. Am I saying your name correctly?
Hi, Roland. Yes, you are.
Alicia, great. Okay, Rochelle, let me try you again. Oh, I think you can hear me, but I can't hear you, Rochelle. Oh, okay. I'm going to ask our technical team to just have a go at that. But in the meantime, Alicia, it's good to have you on. And I am so happy that you're with us tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I am giving thanks. I'm giving thanks. And I want to remind our listeners to remember the feedback question. How do you make the shift from summer holidays to school time structure with your children? And you can send us that response by WhatsApp. The number is 9973125. And if you're going to send a voice note, please keep it shorter than 30 seconds. And you can also call into the studio lines. We'd love to have somebody call in tonight and put Alicia on the spot. Ask her a rough question. And the numbers to call in are 968-8327, 968-8328. You can also comment live on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. So we're talking about back to school, back to wellness. That's our topic today. And what does it really mean, or what does it take to move from the freedom of summer holidays back into the structure of school life? How do children adjust? How can parents support them? And what makes this shift such an important part of family rhythms and child development? And Alicia, first question for you. How does the sudden change in meal timing? I know you are a nutrition educator. How does this change in meal timing from snacking anytime you want, snacking all day, eating whatever you feel like in summer, and then now at school, it's a scheduled meal time? How does this affect a child's metabolism or their behavior?
Great question, Roland. It can impact persons or children's behavior just by, remember, I appreciate that when it is that they're on summer holidays, they're typically at home. They can go for a snack anytime they want to. No, they're going to go back into school where the regime is usually around an 8 to 2 situation. And it's now for them to somewhat adjust to that type of thing, wherein they will now have structured meal times as opposed to when they're at home. So those surges may not necessarily be there for them, because sometimes depending on what that's what's available at home, they're just probably eating, high sugary foods or high salt foods, depending. And then when it is that they go to school, their parents may shift even what the meals that are available there and probably have things that are more nutritious for them. It all depends, as well as what is it that the school may offer for them. So it's just how they will navigate it. It may regulate, but again, it's going to take a little time. And I believe it's on both parties. It's going to be on not only just the parents, but also on the children's part. You may have the child probably even not eat the food. You send the food to the fruits or whatever, and it comes back home, depending on the child's age range, but it's how it is. But I would say consistency would allow for the behavior that you want to have actually continue.
That's an interesting thing that you just raised, and I never even thought of it. The fact that what is normally consumed at home is probably contrasted with what they will have available at school. And now back at school, they may or may not want to consume what they were giving at home. How do you strike a balance? How do you say to them, come on, guys, you can't keep bringing back the fruit when I send it with you? How do you navigate that little?
Have a conversation with your child. Find out what it is that they do like, because sometimes, and that happens even with my nephew, where he would get in certain snacks and then he cycles out of it. And my sister would have to be like, okay, let me see what it is that I like, what you like actually, and then purchase those items and then so on. It happens even with fruits and vegetables, all the different things that they may like. You just find out what I like. No, because the palate changed for some strange reason. These nowadays children have some very interesting palettes. So it just changes all of a sudden. So you just try to work with the ebbs and flows of it.
You see me laughing, and Rochelle, you see me laughing because a friend of mine, right? His son went on a peanut butter only binge.
Ah,
And let me tell you something, the boy is as big as a house now. He was eating peanut butter for maybe a term. It's only peanut butter and did want peanut butter and bread,
wow.
peanut butter and cracker, peanut butter alone. But anyway, to you, Rochelle, can you hear me now? I want to know if I can hear you. Oh no, I'm still not hearing Rochelle. And I just want to hear you say something this evening. Rochelle, I'm going to ask our technicians to go at it again, if it even means that we're going to call you straight, okay? But don't worry, we'll get you involved. But Alicia, we're going to continue the discussion. What are some of the common nutrition-related issues that show up at this time of year that probably result from like skipping breakfast or maybe something as serious as dehydration? What are some of those things?
All right. So what tends to happen? I mean, yes, we know we're transitioning back to school. We know that we battling as parents, battling traffic, all of those things. So sometimes skipping meals may pop up. You may see the child being lethargic. The teachers may see the child being lethargic or low energy. And for them to combat it, I would say parents would need to ensure that they try to prepare a meal for them. There are some schools, they have some breakfast programs where they can, purchase meals and so on for kids to have. That's also something that they can do. But you will see where their energy is low. You will also see possibly even dehydration, because remember, again, when you're at home, you can always go to the fridge, you can go to wherever it is that you have your water or your juice and go and drink. When you're at school, that luxury isn't necessarily there freely, because you would either have to walk with your water bottle, or if it is that you have a water cooler at school, you may have to do that. And if it is that you don't have a reusable water bottle, then you going to the cooler may not necessarily be, the child may not feel comfortable utilizing that cooler, depending on how it is set up, right? So it's again for as a parent to encourage the child for them to go ahead and do so, and not necessarily to drink, because I'm going to touch a little bit more on dehydration. Don't drink when it is that you're feeling dehydrated. Typically, when you're feeling thirsty, you're already 5% dehydrated. So you should be drinking a little bit more, right? And it's some parents may be doing this at home where they encourage a child to drink, but then when you're at school, that's possibly when it is that it falls off track. And it's for you now to give them the reusable water bottles or pack the waters for them to be utilizing it when it is that they're at school.
I love that. I appreciate those points that you're raising. And there is a question that comes to my mind now, and it is about like their emotions. Can poor nutrition contribute to difficulty concentrating or managing their emotions? Can that happen?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
The same, when you're hungry, you're an angry man,
I know that for a fact.
So it really resonates. It does. And sometimes you will see, even if it is that the child goes to school, let's say the child goes to school without breakfast, you will recognize that they may act irrationally. They may become more irritable when it is that the teachers are speaking to them, and it's just because, hey, I don't have any food. So my focus is not on what you're telling me right here. My focus is on my tummy, and that I don't have anything in my tummy right now. So I need to get that.
All
That's
right.
really it.
Okay. We're going to have to go for a break. But Rochelle, I just want to hear you said good evening to everybody. Can you hear me, Rochelle? Oh, I don't think she's hearing me now. Okay, we're going to go for a break. Remember to answer our feedback question. How do you make the shift from summer holidays to school time structure with your children? And stick and stay. We're going to talk back to Rochelle Clark and Alicia Barrett as soon as we get back.
The time that Grace could move is 5:45.
Time is running out. This is your chance to level up. Register now for the CXC June 2025 exams with the Overseas Examinations Commission. The deadline is February 21, 2025. No delays, no excuse, just success. Visit www.overseasexams.org.jm to register. Call 876-618-3721 or email help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow us at Overseas Exams on social media. The Overseas Examinations Commission, Jamaica's examinations hub.
We're in the hurricane season and the hottest time of the year. But no worries, Lanco has you covered. By the way, you're covered with Lanco Cool Guard or Urethanizer roof coating yet? Use Lanco roof coatings to waterproof your roof and also benefit from a cooler home with our advanced Thermoflex technology. Get 10 to 20% discount on Lanco Urethanizer and Cool Guard roof coating island-wide this hurricane season. Lanco, your waterproofing expert.
Nothing beats the Love 101 September Bonanza. That's 15% off any advertising package. That's more savings, more spots, and more reach for your business. But don't wait. This offer ends September 30. Call us now at 876-968-9596 or email sales and marketing at love101.org. Let's grow together. Conditions apply.
Welcome back. We are talking about back to school, back to wellness, and this is Family Time on Love 101 FM. We want you to tell us, how do you make the shift from summer holidays to school time structure with your children? And our guest today to help us to talk about these issues, back to school, back to wellness, our guests are Rochelle Clark, who is a clinical social worker and mental health provider. And we have with us as well Alicia Barrett, nutrition educator. And we have been having some technical difficulties with Rochelle, but I'm hoping she'll be with us in a little bit. Alicia, we often hear that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But well, anything a child feels the ability to, anything the child wants to eat may probably not be healthy. So we're going to have to try to find out what fuels their ability to focus, to learn, and to thrive in school. We want them to be able to concentrate well. We want them to have better moods and stronger bodies. We want people to realize that nutrition plays a huge role in how children show up in the classroom and even beyond that. We're talking about beyond in terms of like sporting activities, extracurricular activities after school, and so on. So families have to make simple choices that power up both the mind and the body of the child. And so the first question we have for you this time now is, what nutrients are most important for supporting brain development and memory during the school age years?
All right, so some nutrients that comes to mind would be zinc. That helps with the protein development as well as DNA synthesis and cell synthesis, and separate and apart from that, also immune health.
All right, stop a minute. You just lost me a while ago with the boom skinniness. You have to break that down for me.
Okay, let me break it down for you. All right, so we have zinc, right? So we know zinc. It helps with immune health. So we want to know that we are keeping healthy throughout the school term, because let's appreciate that going to school, you are going through a lot of stress. Believe it or not, the children are going through some stress, right? Especially with this PEP and CXC and CAPE, they're going through stress. So they need to have their immunity up, right? And then, of course, we're going to have our iron. We're going to be needing it for energy, for red blood cell formation, right? Of course, we know that our kids are going through different stages, especially our females, where it is that they're transitioning through puberty, where they will be having, menstrual cycles going on, loss of blood. We need to ensure that we're replenishing that, right? Yeah. No, sorry, I heard somebody talking, so I was just wondering if Rochelle came back, right? And again, protein. Protein is going to be important. Likewise, carbohydrate, but zinc very very important.
Awesome. So zinc and iron and what else?
Protein.
And protein, those three things. Is Rochelle on now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you now. Oh, it is so good to have you on, Rochelle. I think you
I'm
heard.
so sorry about the technical difficulties.
No worries, man. No worries. We're just glad we've got you on now. And I think you heard some of what we were saying. So I'm just going to dive in and give you some other questions to join the discussion. And I want to ask you now, how does hunger or poor nutrition affect a child's ability to concentrate and behave well in the classroom?
I would say, in terms of like nutrition, right? Without enough fuel, like the brain struggles to focus, and children may appear like they're daydreaming or they're distracted or easily frustrated with schoolwork, and it's mainly because sometimes it's because of the poor nutrition, right? So if you have a family that's feeding a child sugary things in the morning like donuts, or you're just eating a piece of bread literally and that is all you're eating, it may be a struggle to keep up with the rigor of school and all that they're asking you for, right? And then sometimes the food is just not enough that you eat in the morning, because you have some children that are like, oh, I'm not hungry. And then they leave home and they only have just a little bit of food in the stomach. And by the time period two, they're like starving, right? And it's not because the home doesn't have adequate meals. It's because the child just, this is their eating pattern. I don't want to eat too much in the morning. And so we find, as a mental health provider, I often see this in the school where I work. And so if I'm checking in with a child and they're like, Miss R, I'm a little bit hungry. We usually have meals that are set aside for latecomers or for just children who just need it throughout the day, and they're able to get that quick fuel to help them to concentrate in the classroom.
I got you. There may be a little noise in my background, but don't pay attention to that. I want to ask this because it has been my experience. I've seen where kids get into high school. I shouldn't say kids. Children get into high school and they are given a particular time at which they have their break, their break to have their meal for the day. And that time is often somewhere around 10 o'clock. But then school doesn't end until 3 o'clock. Does the time at which they get their break affect their performance or their ability to sustain going forward in the day? Does that matter at all to the children?
I think it does matter because you could imagine that, children, the brain is just working constantly while they're in school. It's working. They're going from one period to the next, to the next, to the next, moving around, using up all this energy. And you see like blood sugar does drop at some point in time. I'm not a nutritionist, but, I believe that it does drop after a certain time when all the fuel is used up. And so you see things like irritability. Students may, they just like really struggle to focus, especially when it's like closer to lunchtime sometimes, right? I remember
Absolutely.
Speaking for myself, I was taking an exam, and one of the tips that you gave us was bring a sugary fruit drink, right? And I'm into health and wellness, and so I decided to do some pineapples and kiwi and all this good stuff, and I bring it in the exam with me. I wasn't able to bring it inside the actual test, but I left it in the locker. And they said, after 2 hours, because this exam I had to sit for like 4 hours to take it. It was my social work exam. And they said, after 2 hours, make sure that you come out of the exam room and step on that drink so you refuel the brain. Because after the 2 hour mark, you see a significant drop in how the brain is reacting to all of this need for attention and focus. And so I think it's the same thing with kids at school too, right? Where it's just like, I just need a quick pick me up, and we can definitely see the struggles around those times.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rochelle. I want to throw that back at Alicia now, because it seems to me when school starts at about 8 o'clock and then they tell you, oh, go have your lunch meal at 10:30, and then they are now to go and work again until 3 o'clock. It seems odd to me. Can you give us any more insight on what Rochelle said, or what you think about that setup?
I agree with Rochelle, wherein the time span is a little bit off. I do think, though, that some schools may break up the break time, and especially do so, especially in the younger kids, where they may have multiple break times because they're gonna need it. Like a young child, it's gonna be chaotic, right?
Yeah,
But
for
then,
young kids, they do tend to do that, and they may have two breaks and they space them out. But I
yeah.
noticed for high school, and I
Hmm.
think the reason they do it is because they want to be able to kind of separate the higher grades from the lower grades. So the lower grades go for break first, and then the higher grades go for break after that. But what it means is that when the younger grades come in, they have to eat earlier, and then they have a much longer stretch after lunchtime where they have to try and maintain the energy, maintain the focus, and so on. Continue what you were saying, though. Continue.
But then, to Rochelle's point, that's when it is that you may find persons losing focus closer to the end of the day, because by then all the food that you would have had, whilst it is that yes, you're not being physically active, you're sitting down in a class, your brain is using all of that energy there to sit and process all the information. I guess one recommendation possibly from some schools is to break up the time, or to add separate and apart from that main lunch, to have a break time in between, just so that persons are able to grab something to eat, even if it's something small like a snack or a fruit or anything like that, so they don't seem so disengaged in classes.
Excellent. I love that. And that is something that I think our parents may have to think about as well. Is it okay if we send our kid to school with lunch and a snack separate? Set it in before you get into such and such a class. Try see if you can just eat something else. Is that okay?
Yes, I don't see anything wrong with it, but then I would tell you what type of snack are you going to be giving your child. That's where I will have it, right? Are you giving them like a fruit as a snack? Because that can be a snack too, right? Whether it's an apple, a banana, whatever fruit of their choice, or it can just be some biscuits or crackers or something like that as a snack that they can have before or even after lunch. And when I say after, not directly after, like 2-3 hours after their lunchtime, that they can have, just to ensure that they have that little pep up in terms of energy, so they're able to focus and continue throughout the day.
What does peace look like in the middle of pressure? Where do you find rest when the world won't slow down? Tuesday, September 16, on The Rock, we dive into Psalm 4, a powerful blend of prayer, trust, and truth. Join guests Pastor Diane Hansen and Dr. Joel Freeman as they explore how these short psalms
Mitana, and human trafficking is everybody's business. Call 1-888-PROTECT to report suspected cases of child trafficking.
The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6 o'clock.
Remix the summer with Digicel. 100 lucky winners win $100,000 each, plus surprises all summer. To enter, buy a SIM, 7-day plan or higher. Switch to Digicel. Be an active postpaid or Digicel Plus customer, or receive US $15 or more from abroad. Gift a friend a plan. They could win $25,000. Remix the summer with Digicel. Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promo ends September 15, 2025. Conditions apply. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for more info. Digicel, better connected this summer.
Nothing beats the Love 101 September Bonanza. That's 15% off any advertising package. That's more savings, more spots, and more reach for your business. But don't wait. This offer ends September 30. Call us now at 876-968-9596-7 or email sales&marketing@love101.org. Let's grow together. Conditions apply.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm sorry about that. It looks like technical difficulties are part for the course today. That's good. We can battle them and we can overcome them, just like we will overcome any struggles that we have with our children being able to do well in school. We're going to battle and overcome them. And I just want to say thank you to my guests for staying the course, for being here with me. Listeners, you are tuned in to Love 101 FM, and this is Family Time. Our topic today is back to school, back to wellness. And I have with me Rochelle Clark, clinical social worker and mental health provider, and Alicia Barrett, nutrition educator. And ladies, it is my joy to have you on. I know that this is probably one of the strangest shows you've been on. If it's not one, so Alicia, you going to take a turn and we can't hear you?
No, man, you're hearing me. Yes.
No, I can't hear you now either. I'm joking. I am joking. No, we can hear you well. And of course, we want to thank our listeners for staying tuned. This is important. We need to be able to give our kids, I keep saying kids, we need to be able to give our children the best we can so that they can do the best they can. And the truth is, we know that some of our children may not always have the words to say, I am stressed. But their bodies sometimes tell that story. And we're going to unpack a bit about what happens when stress shows up in a child's body and how parents and caregivers can respond with understanding and support. And so I want to go to Rochelle. What are some of the physical symptoms children might show when they're feeling stressed or overwhelmed by school?
I think some of the physical symptoms that they may show when they're stressed or overwhelmed can be, it could be excessive crying, right? It could be irritability. It could be a lot of complaints about not wanting to do something, right? And all of those symptoms could show that a child is just like emotionally, they're just not feeling well. Trouble sleeping could be something too. Nightmares, possibly. Changes in appetite, right? And so this could be like a child deciding to skip out on dinner when they come home from school just because they're just like, you know what, I'm just not okay right now. And everything is just off balance, right? So all of those could be indicators that a child is just like not doing well physically and emotionally.
Those things sound serious to me. Something as simple as not sleeping may not sound like a major issue, but it can be. Alicia, what are foods that we would want to try to bring into play if it is that a child is so anxious or stressed that they can't sleep, or maybe they are beginning to oversleep?
I'm going to go back to foods that are rich in zinc, so like your seafoods. I'm also going to go back to even iron. Because sometimes when it is that you are lacking iron and that's you getting that from your protein, your meat kind, or your dark green leafy vegetables, you can exhibit signs of lethargy, right? You can be lethargic in so on. So I would say increase those, and again, it is needed especially in the age range of or kids going all the way up to high school, wherein your body again is going through a lot of stress, not only just from school but even just peer pressure. I'm sure Rachel will even touch on peer pressures that persons would have gone through and so on. So those are things that persons will be going through. So I would say increase those nutrients there, so that they can get the adequate rest that they need to perform.
Absolutely. Rochelle, this whole
Yeah.
thing of a child perhaps not feeling comfortable or being able to say, I am stressed. How do we try to work around that? How do we as parents and caregivers try to ensure that our child feels safe saying that this is
I,
the case? And
yeah, I'm sorry about that.
no, man,
There's a feedback that we're
no worries,
my
no
God, the
worries. Go
technical
ahead.
difficulties are just. I would say that. Oh God, I can't. The feedback. Give me a second.
Alicia, I
Can you
know
hear
that.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. I would say that. Repeat the question again, please.
The question is that sometimes our children are a little reluctant or a little afraid to share that they are feeling stressed or that they are anxious. How do we as parents and caregivers put them in a space or allow them to feel safe expressing that kind of concern of their own? How do we get them to open up to us?
I would say checking in with your child when they come home, right? It could be something as simple as how did your day go? Or tell me the highlight of your day, right? And this could help a child to open up about, like what was the most fun thing, and then that could be like a gateway into how they're feeling also. Uh, it could also be a thing of for the smaller children, you can have like a feelings chart at home. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be the red emotions or a little bit, on the negative side, and the green emotions are on the positive side. And today, Mom, I'm in the green. I'm in the green. It was the first day back at school, and I saw all the friends, and I saw all the teachers and all the coaches, and I'm in this classroom.
Sorry,
And
Rochelle. Sorry, Rochelle. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. What did you just call that? What is that you're talking about?
Say it again.
What are you talking about? It's some kind of chart?
Yes, like a feelings chart.
A
They have
feelings
that.
chart.
Feelings chart.
What is that?
So a feelings chart is a chart. It kind of looks like a little box with like emojis on it with different emotions. And so I use it especially in my practice. I work with children ages 5 to 11. And so usually they're not able to, like say I'm feeling overwhelmed or frustrated. So they have faces that demonstrate the feeling, and then they're able to choose a particular face that they're feeling at the moment. And
Wow.
it's very accessible for children of all ages, but it works great for younger ages because they're able to just like, look at the face and say, yes, that feeling describes what is going on in my body right now, or what
That's
I
really
experienced
cool.
when I was at school, right?
Yeah.
And then they can start to express like what's going on. And I think that adults, it's good for adults to also model how children should open up. So you can go, baby, this morning I had a rough start going to work. I missed the train or I missed the bus, and I was late. But I was able to turn it around when I went to work because I tried my hardest. And now I'm here and I'm home and whatever. Just to like show children the words of how to express how they're feeling. So it's good for parents to model that for children.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Alicia, I want to come back to you for a moment. we spoke at the beginning of the program about these really big changes that take place between summer and school time. And one of those changes is the nighttime routine. I know for us in the summer, the nighttime routine get very haphazard and people go to bed when they feel like, and it doesn't really matter. But during school time, you need to have a kind of pattern. What kind of practical steps do we take with our nutrition or with our meals or our timing? How does that help in the nighttime routine and ensuring that our children get the good sleep that they need?
All right, so I would say children thrive on routine. Even though we like to do, derail a little bit in the summer, but I would say try to be as close to what is going to happen even during school. So even if you go an hour later, don't go more than an hour, more than the bedtime. As it relates to even the meal planning, what I will say to you is I know in school time it's a little hard for some parents to do, but if you get your kids incorporated in preparing the meals for dinner when you come home, I know sometimes you may be exhausted as a parent doing so. However, I will tell you, doing it, they model that type of behavior because it's something that they see and they look forward to, especially if they're engaged in it. Um, and that also helps with them. I will go back to even touching on hydration. That's also something very important for them to do, or for you to even model for them. um, Again, in my household, everyone has a reusable bottle, and it's easy to check a child's reusable bottle. You just take it up. If it shakes, there's no water, okay, you need to get some water. It's easy for them to go and refill for water, right? And again, for parents, especially for bedtime routine, the smaller the child, they might not necessarily be potty trained. So I would say limit or start reducing the water intake at around that time, just to minimize certain messes and so on that they may encounter for sleep time. But try to stick to a routine, and in doing so, have it as a teaching opportunity sometimes with them, and they don't even realize that, hey, we're preparing a healthy meal or doing something that's beneficial for them. My nephew, he loves to he can identify every vegetable. The only vegetable he eats is carrots, and I'm like, a win is a win today. We're gonna cut up some carrots and you're gonna have them, and it's great. So yeah.
Absolutely. So you're saying you're advocating tricking the children into eating properly.
Not tricking, just enlightening their darkness, and educating them along the way, right? Having them learn about different
Absolutely.
fruits and vegetables while it is that you're preparing, and even math, even just as taking up the half a cup or the 3/4 cup and measuring and so on. They can learn that too. So it's a
Absolutely.
whole activity.
Absolutely. Rochelle, I am listening to Alicia and I'm hearing her talk about her nephew and her involvement in his meals as well. Is it important for us, Rochelle, to be able to bring other people into the mix as support for our children?
Yes, yes, definitely. I believe so. I think that can be a community effort, right? You can loop in teachers with that. You can loop in aunts, uncles, even the church, right? After school programs, uh, you can loop in anybody in order to help with a child's nutrition. Anybody that is a caretaker of a child, that is around a child, right? I remember when I was going to school, I learned a lot about nutrition because I literally took a food and nutrition course for CXC. And that course was like I wasn't going to school expecting that I would learn about nutrition like the way I did, right? And I was an overweight child. At 11 years old, I was 150 pounds. And because I took that course and what I learned from that course, I was able to lose a significant amount of weight, right? People saw me and they were like, "Are you sick?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just not eating what I used to eat anymore." After learning that, you don't just throw that information away, right? I reduced the soda
Absolutely.
and replaced it with water. And I even brought that to my family, right? And so mom was losing a little bit of weight. My brother used to be like, okay, now everybody's just drinking water. There's no more syrup that we're drinking. Yeah, we drink it sometimes. But they know that I'm going to go on a rant about, oh, this has so much calories. And here I go.
All right, Rochelle, I'm going to have to cut you because we're going to have to go for a break. And this is our final break. So when we come back, I'm going to ask you to continue, all right? We were discussing the matter of support systems and everybody getting on board to help our children along. And of course, I still want to hear from you, our listeners. How do you make the shift from summer holidays to school time structure with your children? When we go back, we continue the conversation. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Remix the summer with Digicel. Start school with amazing deals on phones, plans, and home fiber internet from Digicel. Conditions apply. Digicel, better connected for back to school. And the time by Digicel is now 6:16 and a half.
You can see the face, but not the heart of those who want to do you wrong. So many times.
Bless up. This is Christopher Martin. Human trafficking is a crime. Let's unite to end human trafficking. Be wise, open your eyes. Spot them, stop them, and report them.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
No shadow at the dark. No shadow at the dark.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You are tuned to Love 101 FM. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries, FLM. And of course, FLM provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Remember, you can tune into our program via the Love 101 Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Topic today is Back to School, Back to Wellness. Our special guests are Rochelle Clark and Alicia Barrett. And the school year is a marathon, not a sprint, between academics, social behaviors, and extracurricular activities, and developing friendships, the natural ups and downs of growing up. Children need more than those sharp minds. They need balance. And what can parents, teachers, and families do to maintain that balance so they can thrive, not just survive? These ladies are here to help us with this discussion today. And I want to go back to Rochelle. You were talking, Rochelle, about the support systems, the structure that we want to build around our children. Can you continue that a little bit?
Yes. And you were asking in regards to nutrition, right?
No, man, just generally, because it's not only nutrition. We're talking about the whole wellness of the child.
Okay, no problem. I believe that teachers play a very important role in telling parents their observations of what they're seeing with their child, right? And so if Johnny is on focus when he's coming into school, it's important to let the parents know that so that caregivers could explain what's happening, because sometimes you may never know what is happening in the home. And so teachers and parents need to work together collaboratively in order to help to grow the whole child. Because if you're missing this important information, then a child is losing that support and resource that they could get, right? And so I think it's very important for us to just all have eyes on children as providers, whether we are speech providers, whether we are teachers, whether we're a coach in the school, whether we're an after-school person. Any information that you have about a child that you think is impacting them educationally, mentally, in any way, let the parents know, because you may never know what is going on at home. And a lot of the time, the schools have resources that can help these families, you know?
Excellent. I love that. That sounds all-encompassing, and I like when we are looking at things that way. We have some comments that I want to ask studio if they can just share with us now. I'm going to ask for the first one. And this one is from David Pusey. It says, as a parent, I see how my child's learning and behavior are affected by what and when they eat. So David is validating everything that's being said here, and then he goes on to say, how can social services and nutrition programs work together to support families so kids are not just fed, but truly healthy and ready to learn? What a big time question. No man, put it back up because we have to read that again. Please. It says, how can social services and nutrition programs work together to support families so kids are not just fed but truly healthy? Wow. What a question, David Pusey. Alicia, I'm going to throw that at you right now.
This indeed is a big question. From the nutrition program's perspective, I do know that in some of the I know that there are some private schools where they ensure nutrition is paramount for them or for the kids. More so, I know if it's in the lower level schools, wherein there are some schools where they ensure that kids should walk with a fruit every day, irrespective of whatever. The kids should walk with a fruit and they should walk with a bottle of water, right? And it's good to teach them at that age so that they replicate it once it is that they get older, um, as it relates to when it is that they're in the high schools segment. I'm not 100% familiar with some of the programs that we do have there, but I do know that even in the public health system, there are nutritionists that are there, the community nutritionists that will intervene at different times when it is that it is called upon. We do have a solid structure, I believe, in our public system when it is that we check the children from 0 to about 12 years, especially with height and weight. There are different measurements, and then transition them to the nutrition clinic if it is that we recognize there are any form of deficiencies that the child may be facing, so that it doesn't prolong into their high school years. So we can catch it early, fix it, and then have them continue.
That's critical. That's very critical. And this is the other one that I see here, Cecilia Fletcher. It says, as we crave for easier, instant ways to provide food, how can we ensure that the food is nutritious for our children? Man, then people ask some hard question. Rochelle, I'm going to ask you if you can. If you can.
Okay, how can we ensure that the food is nutritious for our children?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm going to start off with that. But I think it's good to look at the food groups and choose from each food group what you want to see on the plate, right? And so, and also think about the child's age. So I know I'm going to speak for the school where I'm at. As you know, I'm in the United States, and so things can be a little bit different from how it is in Jamaica, but I grew up in Jamaica. So the school where I'm at now, for breakfast, sometimes on a Monday morning, the children will get probably like bagel, which is the carbohydrate, cream cheese, which is the protein, and they'll give them a banana or an apple for the fruit, and then they'll get some kind of fruit juice or water of choice, right? And I think that encompasses the whole food group. That's like a nice balanced breakfast. For lunch in particular, they follow the same model. We actually have in the school where I'm at, is a charter school, they have a scratch food program where they're getting rid of the public school food, which is just like, they almost call it prison food. I'm so sorry for calling them out, but they call it prison food in the public school system, right? Where it's just like a little cardboard pizza. The kids really don't like it and stuff like that. And so at our school, we decided to do a scratch food program where literally chefs come in and they're making food from scratch for the kids. And they're making sure that vegetables are in there. They're using quality oils. They are limiting the amount of sugar so they have control over all of that. And we see an uptick in students participating in lunchtime in comparison to when we were giving them the other stuff from the other program. And it goes back to show that, you know, the way you present food to kids, because sometimes you're like, oh, the kids don't like the vegetables, they don't like this, they don't like that. Have you presented it to them in a certain way? That could affect how they are looking at that particular food. We have kids now that are like, I love broccoli. Can I get more? Can I get another serving? That would have never happened.
Wow, that almost never happens.
Cooking it.
Yeah,
it's because
that almost never happens.
Presenting it to them.
Right, Rochelle, we are almost at the end of the program now. And Alicia, I want to ask both of you, give you both just about a minute each to just give us some thoughts on how we can ensure that in this period of back to school and looking forward for the rest of the year, we can help to support our children in the long term in the best way possible. Just a couple of thoughts that you would want to share with us. And I'm going to ask Rochelle to go first because she wasn't with us for a while. Go ahead, Rochelle.
So you said just a couple thoughts that I want to share?
Yeah, just a minute or so.
I would say, in terms of back to school, one of the most important things that I want to share is for parents to be to really pay attention to how their child is presenting. If a child is coming to you with concerns, you know your child the best, right? The teachers don't know your child as much as you know your child. And so pay attention to that. And if there's anything that's concerning or worrying for you, you have the right to request a meeting with that school. Speak to somebody about this. Speak to how you can get some resources or some help, right? Don't just keep it hush-hush or say that he will be okay. Make sure that you are paying attention to that child, right? Because you may never know. A closed mouth cannot get fed. Ask, and we shall receive in some kind of way, shape, or form.
I love it. I love that. Alicia, I'm going to ask you to go now.
All right. I will say parents can be intentional about their healthy eating habits. And when I say be intentional, you're not going to take it on all at once, but baby steps and you will get there. So it can be just by having your reusable water bottle at home. It can just be by introducing a fruit a day. It doesn't matter what fruit it is. Once it is that you like it, they like it, have a fruit a day. And my last one would be parents should model the behavior they want for their children to display. A lot of times we hear parents telling kids, oh, eat your vegetables, but yet they're not eating vegetables, right? So take on that role, model the behavior, and you will get the results that you want.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it. I'm glad that we had this conversation today. Alicia, Rochelle, thank you so much for being with us here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for being here with us. And I want to tell our viewers and our listeners, if you have questions of a personal nature or you're concerned about a friend or a family member, call us. For more information on our services or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact our head office, FLM, at 920-1034 or 926-8101 or 876-579-8690 or 279-8678. And of course, the last two numbers are available on WhatsApp. Let me say them again. The last two numbers are 279-8678 and 579-8690. If you want an appointment or you want information on costs, you have to call the offices, all right? Otherwise, you can keep up to date with what's happening on FLM on our different social media pages. You can join us on Facebook at FLM-Family Life Ministries. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Family Life Ministries-FLMJA. And you can connect with us on Instagram at simply FLMJA. Before we leave you, here's our verse for the evening. James 1 verse 5. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. And we want you to remember that. Ask God for wisdom. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks again to our special guests, Rochelle Clark and Alicia Barrett. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale. Rashid Perry for Research and Resource Services, and to Sir Derval Graham for piloting us through this hour, and of course you for being here with us. Have a great week. My name is Roland, and you've been listening to Family Time on Love 101 FM.
You're tuned to Family Radio, broadcasting from Kingston, Jamaica. We're Love 101 FM. And the time is now 6:31 p.m. It's time for us to